Hello YouTubers, today I'm on here. In this video I'm going to benchmark Wolcen on a single GTX 970. This video is recorded on an external recorder at 60 frames per second, so what you will see in this video will be pure performance. I'm using my old Core i7-860, which is overclocked to 4 GHz. There we are. What? No. Sorry, I messed up. So the system has 12 GB of memory and the graphics card is a single GTX 970, a Gigabyte G1 model. Latest force was installed and it is also overclocked at 1.5 GHz. We will verify that at the end of the video. Now for this benchmarking video I'm going to use fraps to collect frame rate data from my custom gameplay session. We will see the result in this file and some analysis at the end of the video. Let me launch the game. This is a CryEngine 3 game. It is a top-down RPG and quite interesting, I might say. The subtitle is Lords of... let's see the graphics options first. 1080p resolution with the default at very high. The default preset very high. No motion blur due to compression reasons. And the advanced settings are also at the very high preset. High sub-pixel morphological anti-aliasing. Okay, and that's it basically. So let's go to my benchmarking location. Have a look at the top right of the screen and look at the CPU usage. This is one of the very few times that you will see hyper-threaded cores, logical cores to jump to such high usage levels. Very interesting. That's why I like CryEngine, because it really can extract all the CPU power it can get. So I'm going to the Marley Forest or whatever it's called, and I'm starting the benchmark now. Okay, I believe we have enough benchmarking data. Yes. So the average frame rate was 54 frames per second. Not the greatest result, but due to the nature of the game, it is quite playable nonetheless. Also, don't forget that this is an alpha version, so a lot of optimizations will take place as the game develops. Frame rate is decent, but we do have a problem with the frame times, as we did on the GTX 1070 system with the 2500K. So it seems that even a better system cannot really get any better performance. GPU usage is not maxed out in this run either. The CPU usage is quite high for hyper-threaded cores. We do have activity on all cores, and we did see during the first run, the initial run of the game, the CPU was at 100% for a few seconds, preparing stuff for the game, and then it toned down quite a bit. However, the overall CPU usage, as we can see here, is indeed above 50%. So we do have quite a lot of activity on the logical cores. CPU temps did get quite high on this run. Wow, it is one of the very few times that I have seen the 860 get so hot while gaming. That is quite interesting. GPU temps are okay. RAM usage at 4.2 gigabytes. The core clock of the video card is at 1.5 gigahertz. We do have some weird spikes, dips on for the core clock. The game really halted for a few milliseconds at some parts. That is due to the optimizations that need to be done. 2.8 gigabytes of video RAM usage. This is a little lower than the 1070 by 200 megabytes, I think. Okay, we will see the comparison, of course. I will try to load it up. Wolcen v.high. I think it will try to open my GTX 1070 first, because it remembers the latest directory. Yes, this is my other system, the one that is doing the recording right now. And now I'm going to open the GTX 970 on my what? Yes. And this is the Wolcen run we just saw on the GTX 970. We have an average of 53.7, correct. The average frame times are not very good, but even on the GTX 1070 we did have some problems. Of course, the performance was quite better. It was still very CPU limited as well. 54 frames per second, comparable at 38.8, 39 frames per second quite lower than the 55 of the other system. Now let's look at visualization of the GTX 970 with the 860. We do have some huge spikes. We did see them during the gameplay. The game actually halted for a few milliseconds at 4 or 5 locations. Quite weird, but as I told you, it is an alpha version, so we still have a lot of improvement to go. Frame times beyond 16.7 milliseconds are quite a lot. 75% of the frame times are above this threshold, so a lot of improvement can be made, and we can see that in the histogram of the frame times. Most of them are unfortunately above 16 milliseconds, so the rendering is not very fast. Now let's see the comparison of the two runs. The 1070 indeed was a little longer, but still we can see that the frame times are consistently lower than the GTX 970, although we do have a small location here that it was lower. Probably different action, of course. Overall the frame times are a lot better on the 1070 with the 2500. We can see that here, a lot better, no comparison really. The frame rate is also better on the 1070 system. At least the first part is very similar. After a point the action, different enemies spawn at different points, so you cannot do exactly the same thing, but it is clear that the 1070 system is a lot faster, not only because of the video card, the CPU also. Min, max and average frame rates quite different for both systems. The stuttering and the variability is quite similar on both systems, but the stuttering is a lot worse on the 860 with the 970. We have both a slower CPU and GPU, so it was to be expected. The percentile curve is usually the only thing that somebody needs to see. We can see a clear advantage on the 1070 system, which has much lower frame times. The time spent beyond curve also a lot better for the 1070 system. And finally, the comparable frame rate overlaid with the variability and the stuttering. Let me do some calculations here. 55 to 39 is a 41 performance increase, and as far as the straight average goes, we have 57 to 54, 43% performance increase, while both systems were CPU limited. Let's not forget that. I will have to revisit this game. It seems quite interesting, to tell you the truth, and very heavy for both the CPU and the GPU, so it will be a quite interesting benchmark. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. I hope you like this video. I will see you on my next one.